Welcome in. It's a Football Friday. Man, a lot going on this weekend. We've got conference championship games starting tonight. We've got the SEC championship game tomorrow over in Atlanta. College football playoff rankings on Sunday. I'm sure that's going to go extremely well with no fan base getting upset or mad. Everyone's going to take the rankings and be a nice, quiet Sunday
Why don't
afternoon.
you give Hunter Yurachek and that group a little bit of credit, Pat?
I just said it's going to go
benefit
smoothly.
of the doubt? I sense some sarcasm in you saying that.
I don't have sarcasm.
Does McMurphy get the scoop early? Do we get that 30 minutes to spoil the big surprise?
I don't know. I guess people will be watching it was about 30 minutes before last year when he said that Alabama was not going to get in and SMU was going to get in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see if they've ostracized Mr. McMurphy and kept him out of the room.
I just remember last year. Was it? Yeah, it was last year that everyone was watching their phones in church.
Oh, were they?
Even the Auburn fans. Everybody was watching their phones to see who got in.
Did the pastor make an announcement once Alabama was eliminated?
I think no, he did not. I think the year that they did manage to get in, he did announce that they had gotten in. I want to think, but no, I don't think there was an announcement or anything.
He didn't pull like a Kirk Herbstreit a couple years ago when Alabama was named, and then he walked off set. He was so shocked.
No.
You remember that?
No.
Oh yeah, I mean, Kirk Herbstreit was up there in Bristol, and when it came across, and Alabama was one of the teams, he literally stood up and walked off set. He was just could not believe it.
Well, our pastor, he got his undergrad and his postgrad, I guess his master's, before he got into preaching from University of Alabama and taught a class there. So he's a big bammer, like Conrad.
Well, good. Speaking of announcements, a big announcement coming up in about 58 minutes down on the south side as Alex Mortensen will officially, the interim tag will be removed. And this is a great move. I know you and I, behind the scenes, we have been trying to, anybody that would listen would say that'd be a great hire just to go ahead and elevate him to the full-time head coach. I think it's a great hire by Mark Ingram.
Yeah, I've gotten to know Alex Mortensen for the first time that I met him, and he actually walked into the office, and I was meeting with the prior coaching staff getting ready for their final game in that Bahamas Bowl. He came in, got to meet him there, and then over the last 3 years as an offensive coordinator, getting to know him, just the way that he coaches his players, off the field, how he interacts with players, he deeply cares. First and foremost, he's a wonderful human being, first and foremost, and he cares. And then watching him in 6 games this season, Pat, you think about what they were able to do, the knockoff of Memphis there at home. Last game of the season, you do something that hasn't been done really since the 2022 season. It happened one time, but really since the 2021 season when Bill Clark was still the head coach. Alex Mortensen is good for UAB. He understands the culture. He understands what it's going to take to get it done, and you need that kind of person in that role, and I think Alex Mortensen's perfect. And a lot of people respect him. A lot of great football minds respect him, and they're going to be willing to help him any way that they can.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how many of the current staff remains, or they will find a way to, obviously, he wants to put his fingerprints on the program because these were Trent Dilfer hires. These were not Alex Mortensen hires. So we'll see how much that changes on the south side. So a great move for Alex Mortensen and UAB football. The availability report came out last night for the SEC championship game. Zahn Branch is now questionable for the Georgia Bulldogs. I was reading an article. We already knew that Drew Bobo was going to be out at center for Georgia. Now they say that Bobo's done for the year. So he won't even be available in the college football playoff. And that's big. I mean, you lose your center. I mean, I know the backup's gotten a little bit of work throughout the season when Bobo's been banged up, but that's a big story for Georgia.
That truly is the quarterback of your offensive line. In that case, especially because you got Bobo, the son of the offensive coordinator, who knows what everybody's doing.
Yep.
That's a big loss.
Yep. And, of course, a lot of Alabama people, including Conrad, would probably go, oh, no, LT Overton is out for the game. And I've read different things, and I've reached out to a couple of people some folks say that this is something that will basically maybe end the season for him. And so that would be huge. Not really sure exactly.
I thought he was sick.
I'm just telling you what I've been told.
Okay.
So unless you've talked to Kalen DeBoer in the last 24 hours.
No, it was just you hear illness, you don't immediately go, oh, stomach bug or flu or something like that, not serious medical illness.
There's some people down there that there's some things that obviously they're concerned about. Just leave it at that. So hopefully not. Hopefully he will be back for the college football playoff if they get to play, but that is something that folks are concerned about. So we'll see. Also, Jam Miller, Cueva is still on the questionable list. That is not happening. Do not know why that continues to be on there.
Yeah, I don't. That's why I asked Conrad when I saw the questionable. From everything that I had heard, there's absolutely no way. But
they hope
got a lot of great doctors out there.
They hope that Cuevas can be back in a couple of weeks if they continue to play in the CFP. If not, they've obviously got some guys that's gotten some experience over the last couple of weeks in the Iron Bowl. So, Jam Miller, likewise, don't think he's going to play. So,
well, hey, I remember an Alabama team going against the Chicago Bears defense a few years ago. They're in Atlanta, depleted running back field. They couldn't run the ball. How are they going to move the football? We saw what happened.
Yep. So both teams banged up, as you would imagine, because of the fact of you just got through playing a 12-game schedule, 8-game conference schedule. So, yeah, we'll see exactly how that plays out this weekend. Georgia's still about a 2.5-point favorite in the game. I was looking at all these predictions across the board, and you got Dogs 247. Their website, Jordan Hill predicted Alabama to win by 6 points. A Georgia writer is predicting Alabama to win 27-21. Tuscaloosa News, you got one writer that's predicting Georgia to win by a touchdown. It's kind of weird seeing like hometown folks kind of go the opposite
Everybody's
direction.
using the reverse psychology. That's what they're doing here.
Yep. Our good friend Danny Cannell's, he likes Alabama. Don't know if that's good or bad.
What was the last big game that we had Danny on for to preview? Was it Oklahoma?
I feel like it's been longer than that since Danny was on. I don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe you might be right, though.
Hopefully it wasn't, because he picked Alabama in the game that he was on promoting.
Dogs HQ, which is the On3 site for Georgia, 4 reporters all took Georgia, but the average score was 3 points. So everyone is predicting a touchdown or below game. That's kind of what they're looking at. Charlie Potter from Bama Online, he likes Bama by 4, 28-24. And Athens Banner Herald, the hometown newspaper there in Athens, they like Georgia by a field goal.
It's hard to imagine either one of these teams running away with it. My question is, how many points do we get? Do we get oh, wow, this is a close game like we got in the first one, but we're in the 30s? I don't really see that. Not with some of the injuries and these two teams and kind of how they're made up. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker.
Based on the 47.5-point spread.
A lot of talty.
And based on what you've seen so far from those two teams, I think the under looks like a really good play.
What's the weather going to be like tomorrow inside the dome?
72 degrees.
72?
Yep.
Clear?
Partly sunny. Depends if the roof's open.
Will they have a flyover?
Maybe
a drone.
I just never understood. Remember when the Super Bowl used to play like in dome stadiums and they'd have a flyover? You're like going,
show the shot outside that nobody could see.
Like people in the stadium looking up, like, what am I looking at?
What's that guy doing on the catwalk?
Very, very, very odd.
Removing all of those cameras.
Very much so. A couple of SEC items that have popped up this morning. This just came across a few minutes ago. The SEC presidents, they have voted to increase the number of maximum scholarships from 85 to 105. That's going to cost them more money.
Well, what's more at this point, Pat?
Yeah, but you've gone from 85 to 105. As part of the House settlement, schools are permitted to increase the scholarships to 105. But you remember the SEC, they had voted.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're going to stay at 85.
Yep.
Now they've changed their mind.
Yeah. More opportunities.
Back up to 105. And the commissioner yesterday
more revenue
said that next week on December 11th. The full SEC schedule will be released. We already know the opponents, but I can go ahead and tell you that LSU and Ole Miss will be the first conference game for both Ole Miss and LSU. I can tell you that.
Which is wonderful.
I think that's September 19th.
SEC gets it. I appreciate the intentionality.
Yeah. Speaking of roster size, this is another big story that is making the rounds this morning. Our friend Nathan King, he is reporting that Auburn is going to have around $30 million roster in football next year. It will be a top 10 roster outlay in regards to money.
30 million. What's the highest report that we've heard from a school, not in the SEC, just around college football? Has it been
35 to 40?
Was it Texas Tech or was it Ohio State?
I thought it was LSU when they were doing the whole Lane Kiffin thing. They said that they were going to give him, and everyone was confused because they thought there was a cap on how much. There's not a cap. There's a suggestion.
It's interesting because Nathan laid out how this is going to be done, and it makes perfect sense. So basically, by moving the Baylor game to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, you remember that this was going to be, when Jason Caldwell broke the story for Auburn Undercover, he said that this was going to be a very lucrative deal for Auburn. And according to Nathan King, the base guarantee in the deal for them to play there in Atlanta with Aflac is $4 million. And that Auburn will receive another $4 million if it sells out its ticket allotment. So that's $8 million, and they're going to take all of that money and put it to roster in football. So that's where they're coming up with the additional $10 million on top of the $20 million that you hear everybody talking about. So that's how Auburn will fund their $30 million next year.
It's just how do you divvy it up? How do you spend that $8 million?
Mm-hmm.
Would it take maybe a third of that to keep a guy like Cam Coleman? I don't know what that looks like, but it'll be interesting because if the trend continues the way the market has been, Pat, over the last few years, we're going to continue to see these numbers escalate.
Yep.
The $500,000 guy becomes the $750,000 guy, and so on.
Yep. So, yeah, but that's good news for Alex Golesh having a $30 million payroll. Now, just don't go out and do what Hugh Freeze did and sign people that do nothing for your football team.
Talking to former college coaches, and I talked to a couple of them last night, and just one of them just kind of heartbroken watching the game. And he said, I'll never live to see it, but we're going to get – we're already in the death spiral of college football, but it's going to take basically college football being put on life support to get anybody's attention for reform or whatever they can do at a federal level to put this all back together. Well, I mean, it's out of control, and it's stuff that's not even being reported.
But think about what's happened this week. They were supposed to pass the SCORE Act. All these conferences have spent millions and millions of dollars. The four conference commissioners of the Power Four, they were in Washington, D.C. They were going to do a victory lap. They were going to vote on Wednesday night. It was going to be done. Okay, we're heading in the right direction. And guess what happened?
Yeah.
Typical Washington, D.C. Get stalemated, not going to be voted on. So then guess what? Now we're back to the same place we were, and all of this money was spent on lobbyists to try to get this thing passed, and you can't even get to a vote. Can't even get to a vote. So, once again, we will continue to kick the can down the road.
Go fight, win.
And the White House was for it. The White House endorsed it. Even Cody Campbell at Texas Tech, who was against it originally, warmed up to the idea because Cody Campbell is a Trump supporter. So, he was okay with it. The problem was that there was a couple of Republicans that decided to go to the other side, and the Democrats did not want it at all. So,
James Carville didn't want it?
I think.
He loves college football.
And on top of that, the story I read this morning is that the fiasco with Lane Kiffin damaged the people that wanted to vote for it because of the fact that it just made college football look so bad. What happened with Lane Kiffin? They're like, why do we need to help? What do we need to do this for? And Lane Kiffin will be on game day tomorrow. So,
well, Brett Norsworthy told us that Lane listens to our show, actually referenced our show, and Jocks.
Yeah, I'm glad he shared that story with y'all yesterday because he had told me privately last week when Lane reached out to Brett, and of course, because of our friendship, I was not going to bring that up on the air. But I'm glad he told you guys that story. So
hey, Lane.
you just never know when Lane's going to show up on a text message.
That's just the way he likes it.
It is. I wonder if Alabama fans will give him a standing ovation around the set tomorrow, or some folks will holler at him.
How soon before the Kiffin family they find their homestead?
I don't know.
Have any reports on that? We got so many day-to-day, minute-by-minute reports. I'd like for Marty Smith to camp out and go with him on the Zillow search.
Well, hopefully it's a pretty quick closing, because the fact that they already spent some time in Baton Rouge prior. Remember, that was the whole trip, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Would you be surprised at this point if LSU just bought him a house? USC.
I was about to say USC bought Lincoln one.
Well, they bought his old one.
Yeah,
in Norman.
It took a while before Alabama bought Saban's house. They finally took care of that a few years ago.
Where's the Charles Kelly, Tommy Rees house? Is that thing still on the market? That's a steal if you can find it there in the Tuscaloosa area.
Yeah. Looks good.
White brick home, if I can remember.
It was a nice house.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the game room.
The game room is nice.
With all the Florida State paintings.
Now, you'll have to move all of Charles Kelly's old memorabilia from his coaching staff.
Maybe Charles Kelly bought the house back and just commutes to Jacksonville State.
You know what? That makes perfect sense.
I mean, that's like his summer home in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. Right.
Where
do you? We summer in Tuscaloosa.
Yes. On the Black Warrior River.
It's a cool climate.
Yes.
You don't get any humidity that time of year.
No, not at all. It's very nice. All right, it's a Football Friday, setting the stage for what's coming up. Wimp Sanderson, Mike Rodak, Mike Griffith is scheduled to be on. You never know with Mike being there in Atlanta. Tim O'Malley from Irish Illustrated, he's going to join the show. Just want to get his take on Notre Dame. They thought they were good to go, and then Tuesday night happened, and Alabama leapfrogs them. So we'll see what the general feeling is in South Bend, Indiana. We'll do bet it or forget it. We'll look at some championship games. And, of course, as always, your calls, your texts. This is a Football Friday on Jocks. It is 10:22. Coach Wimp Sanderson will join us at the bottom of the hour. He'll give us a blue plate championship weekend, and it starts tonight across several conferences. Should be a good weekend of college football.
Well, you don't want to get caught in the cold, so schedule your system checkup now from a trained comfort specialist. Trane has been recognized for 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jock. So go and visit Trane.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
Well, it was that rumor that continued to be heard throughout college football. Just the other day, somebody at some Penn State site kept saying Kalen DeBoer's going to be, he's the number one choice. Just wait. Bama beats Auburn. Kind of goes away for a minute, but then still some people up there. Well, yesterday, Kalen DeBoer finally, he addressed it thanks to Charlie Potter at Bama Online. I promise Kalen DeBoer said he is not interested in the Penn State job.
Thank you for asking that, Charlie. There's never been any interest from either side.
We love it here.
We love it here.
Mm-hmm.
People of Tuscaloosa have been great. I wake up every day and put on that hoodie.
That you can't buy anywhere, by the way. All right.
Think about the Conrads in our fan base.
All right. This is what was said yesterday in Tuscaloosa.
We are extremely happy at Alabama. It's the first time I've been asked. And we are extremely happy here. Love the challenge, love the grind, love this place. And there's never been any link. There's never been any conversation. There's never been any interest either way. And so I'm glad we can put that to bed right now.
All right. Glad he did. Maybe somebody at Penn State.
Somebody call Audrey Snyder.
And to her credit, even what she said on her show, she has not been the one that has been spreading that. It has been some other people. But it's interesting because now, and when it's all said and done, they might end up with the best coach on the market. I mean, they're talking to Matt Campbell. They've had multiple conversations with him in the last 24 hours.
Don't tell Tim Brando that.
Supposedly, Campbell's only got a $2 million buyout at Iowa State.
That's what all these coaches have.
$2 million.
They fire you. They have to pay you everything. You choose to leave them. $2 million. Now, Brett Bielema has got a stipulation. He can't leave for another Big Ten school in his, but most of them are set up. It's a one-way contract. The coaches, they're winning. Jimmy Sexton winning.
Isn't it crazy to think that Matt Campbell's 46 years old?
It is, because he has been the hot name in coaching for the last 15 years.
He has. He is 72-55. He was 8-4 this year in Ames. Remember, he played for the conference championship last year. This is the other part that's interesting. Here are the fallback candidates. You ready for this? So they talked to Brian Dable on Wednesday, and they determined after their conversation on Wednesday, nah, it's not a fit. We're moving on from Brian Dable. Okay. So now the two backup candidates, if they can't get the deal done with Matt Campbell, is Matt Patricia, who's the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. You ready for the next one? Tommy Rees.
Ooh.
So Penn State can either have Matt Patricia or Tommy Rees as their head coach if the Matt Campbell stuff falls through.
You can't let it fall through.
I mean, at this point, you're probably going to have to overpay Matt Campbell and just say, please, just sign the deal.
I just want to know why Brian Daboll wasn't a fit. Now, if it was him saying I'm not interested, I could understand that part of it, but
I'm not saying what either one of those guys, I don't know. Those guys could become college head coaches and be the greatest of all time. But you just fired James Franklin, paid him all of that money to go and get somebody who's unproven at Penn State? No, you got to sell out. If you got to make Matt Campbell the highest paid coach in college football, if you're Penn State, you got to do it.
There's no doubt. You have to. But, I mean, when Matt Patricia, who's never been a head coach in college, you're gonna let that be your proving ground, Happy Valley in the Big Ten?
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm being honest. When I look at Matt Patricia, there's nothing about him that energizes me as a fan.
Well, and we've seen him be a head coach in the NFL, and it
didn't work.
I mean, besides Urban Meyer, maybe the biggest disaster of a head. Well, him and Adam Gase would be right up there in competition. It was really, really bad.
Tommy Rees intrigues me a heck of a lot more than Matt Patricia for that job. But Matt Campbell, sell out. Get your guy. If Matt Campbell doesn't take this job, it's going to be Pine Box out of Ames for him, truly.
I think you're right. I mean, you just look at what he's done there over 10 years. It's been very good, but how many other opportunities, honestly, is he going to get?
Well, there's only so many other parts of the country. West Coast jobs he's turned down, reportedly. Now we're up in the Northeast. Other jobs there in the Midwest. I don't know if he's really ever – his name has been brought up in Southern schools and their coaching searches, but really never got any ground. I think he's very happy where he is in that part of the country, very comfortable, obviously.
46 years old. He's an Ohio native, so they could do a lot worse. I think he's a good football coach. I think if they were to get him, that is going to be an A hire.
Oh, he's a really good football coach.
Yeah. So,
and Iowa State has been fortunate to be able to keep him on and his loyalty and his comfort level there and taking care of him.
If you remember, he agreed to a deal last year, and then he turned around and took $1 million of his $5 million and put it into the NIL to help pay for players to try to keep them there at Iowa State. So,
well, Matt Campbell's
money where his mouth is.
If you want to compare, if you want to look at other coaches that have made the move, Matt Campbell, at least he's proven it at a place that historically was tough to win, and he was doing it prior to the NIL and transfer portal era.
True.
He was doing it in very creative ways in Ames, Iowa, and winning consistently. Never the big prize, but Iowa State, they've been relevant under Matt Campbell. So it's not a risk if you're Penn State.
The thing that I find funny is that everybody kept saying that DeBoer was the mystery candidate.
This is not a Luke Fickell from Cincinnati to Wisconsin.
Correct. Everyone kept saying DeBoer was the mystery candidate. Now, not Audrey Snyder, but there was a writer from the Center Daily Times. There was a couple podcasters for Penn State. They were just obviously they were just trying to put two and two together, and they kept trying to say, well, the mystery candidate's got to be Kalen DeBoer. I guess they had no idea, thinking that it was going to be someone in Utah, and it was Sataki. And listen, reading Audrey Snyder's piece last night, they were absolutely floored he did not take the job. Like this was done like over the weekend, and then all of a sudden he used that as leverage to get a little bit more out of BYU and to stay there at home. I mean, that's where he's from. Don't blame him for that.
Oh, he played him like a fiddle.
Yeah.
Like a fiddle.
But they were absolutely floored. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe. And listen, it reminded me a lot of what Alabama went through with Rich Rodriguez and all that, because it looked like nobody in America wanted the Alabama job, that it was so bad that nobody wanted it. Like people that you thought in a million years, this guy cannot turn this job down. Are you kidding me? And they were turning it down. That's what's happening at Penn State. So
Matt Campbell's the next Nick Saban potentially.
I wouldn't go that far. But it's definitely to me it's an upgrade over Sataki, and that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sataki's a really good coach, but that's another place. It's kind of like a Matt Campbell. He's very comfortable where he is. They keep rewarding him with extensions and
but when these
raises
coaches
in pay.
Like when he stood up in front of his team, it's just like, really? Like the last 5 days, you've done everything except sign the paper. Like you flirted with Penn State. You basically almost consummated the deal with Penn State, and then you stand up in front of your players and make it sound like, you love this place. I mean, you were ready to leave 24 hours earlier. I mean,
no, you love the crumble cookie guy.
Sure.
BYU's 83-44 since 2016. His 83 wins ranked 17th nationally.
He was about to get about a $10 million plus contract at Penn State.
He'd have 84 wins if it wasn't for Bill Clark.
That's true. Bill Clark took him out in Shreveport. We will talk to the coach, Wimp Sanderson. He's next.
10:36, Football Friday, Championship Friday here on 3-Man Front. You got championship games from multiple conferences tonight, and then tomorrow, full slate of games, including the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Georgia Bulldogs in Atlanta at least one more time for the SEC crown. How about the Finnick? If you're not making plans on traveling to a stadium this weekend, doing stuff here around the house, maybe staying out of the cold weather, you can enjoy the Finnick, the wall-to-wall action you're going to get. You can get in this afternoon. They're going to have a band that cranks up at 10, but you get all the action on the video boards and the screens there at the Finnick for the American Conference Championship game, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, all of that good stuff you're going to be able to find there. All the way through the weekend, state-of-the-art sound, award-winning menu from the shareables to the fork and knife. They hand-cut their own steaks, fresh Gulf seafood, the Finnick. There's something for everybody there. Check them out, 1630 2nd Avenue South near Railroad Park.
So we just heard Kalen DeBoer talking about how he is not a candidate for the Penn State job. Well, Kalen DeBoer, in the nice Kalen DeBoer type of way, he wanted to tell America this is why his team, the Alabama Crimson Tide, whether they win or lose on Saturday, they should be in the college football playoff.
I mean, it kind of blows my mind, as that's the exact words I used before, that we're really having this debate. I don't say that with any arrogance, because I understand there's a lot of good football teams out there, but we earned getting to this point. We're 4-1 against ranked teams. I mean, we're 2 points away from being 5-0 against ranked teams throughout the year. Every A4 team except for Wisconsin that we played this season, before, during, or after us, was ranked. You know, and again, a 7-1 record, almost 8-0, 2 points from being 8-0. 4-0 on the road in the SEC, that jumps out at me. That's hard to do in the environments. Our guys have been tested, and just teams coming off buys. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's our guys have been tested, and we get to this point. We are playoff ready. We are focused on this game. We have not had one conversation about that, but we want to take care of business this Saturday and enjoy, again, the opportunity that lies right in front of us to play in the SEC championship.
That was Kalen DeBoer talking about his team and the resume for them in the college football playoff. Meanwhile, the commissioner of the Southeastern Conference, he met with the media in Atlanta yesterday, and he echoes what Kalen DeBoer had to say. Matter of fact, he likes Alabama right now in the CFP.
These two teams have distinguished themselves. Alabama ends up the number 1 seed in our game because of our tiebreaker, the strength of that internal conference record analysis being where the tie was broken. Conference championship games have existed, and I don't think that the suggestion to the selection committee is it's their policy or their responsibility to determine whether they exist or not. They do. We're going to have 2 high-level teams that I think have earned their position in those rankings. We're going to look for a great game. The selection committee is going to make its decisions, but the strength of what both teams have done over the entire season has already been recognized by the selection committee, and I would expect will continue forward through Sunday selection.
I thought that was very important what he just said.
No pressure, boys.
Basically, he is saying, cutting through the minutia, he is basically saying, all right, you saw it Tuesday night. There is no reason for Alabama to fall out of the college football playoff if they lose.
Yep.
That's what he's saying. Now, never know with the committee. You see it change all the time. But at least based on what the commissioner said yesterday, he feels pretty good about where Alabama is.
Yeah. He was having to do it a lot last year. But it was pretty clear what the message he was sending to the committee. And we agree. And I think it would be a horrible precedent, but short of Alabama losing 56-0, and maybe they still get in. I don't know.
It was interesting because the folks that still put together a BCS ranking this week, they still had Alabama at 10, whereas the committee obviously flipped Notre Dame and Bama. And so the last couple of years, the committee ultimately, you could call it coincidence, whatever, but it's almost been identical to what the old BCS said. So it's interesting that it was the committee and the BCS, the rankings and the computers were different this week. So will that hold serve? I mean, I personally believe what you saw on Tuesday night. I contend that even if Alabama loses poorly, to Georgia that they're still in.
Again, short of being embarrassed, which I don't see any way that happens. We're not going to get a Georgia TCU.
No, because Georgia's offense is not built that way.
Well, and I think the thing that, again, for Alabama, not saying you want to have to use this excuse, but I think there's a really strong argument that the committee would probably try to make of, okay, well, this is an Alabama team that's really injured and has some injuries at key positions. 3 weeks from now, probably going to be in a little bit better shape. So let's give them an opportunity on top of the fact that it helps when you've already beaten a team you lose to in the championship.
As much criticism of this committee, and you can say that they're sheltered and they're numb to it, they're not. They hear it and they see it. There's no way that they want to listen to a year of SEC hate keeping a team out. You could justify it last year. You're not going to be able to do it this year with a loss in a championship game to a team that you deemed worthy of a college football playoff prior to going in. Well, in the SEC, not the Mountain West.
It's interesting because the computers do not like Texas Tech. They have not been impressed with the Big 12. Matter of fact, the computers have Ole Miss as number 5. Not impressed by Texas Tech, and they continue to put Notre Dame ahead of Alabama. Again, I wasn't a math major. Not really sure what the computers are seeing there, but
do the computers figure in coaching changes? Is that why we brought in the human element?
I guess.
What's the Pete Golding factor when you plug that data in?
But see, prime example, the computers love Vanderbilt over Miami. So maybe if Vanderbilt could have played an extra game, maybe against Miami or Utah, whoever they were trying to schedule, maybe that would have worked out.
Well, Vanderbilt, going back to it, if Vanderbilt beats Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Oh, it's a different conversation.
Well, and that's their problem is, because people brought, well, why isn't Vanderbilt getting more love? They don't have any good wins. Like, not saying they don't have good wins, but, I was talking to somebody yesterday and said, what's their best win? And said, well, Tennessee last week. I said, that was a great win. Where's Tennessee ranked right now? Oh, well, they're not. It's a good win, but blowing out an unranked opponent, you beat them too bad.
Yeah, you knocked them out of the top 25.
Yeah, that's your marquee win if you're Vanderbilt, which good win, but that's not a.
That would be a matchup nightmare for some of these schools to go against a Vanderbilt.
Especially the way they're playing right now.
Yeah. Not only do they have good players, but they can X and O you and beat you.
I wish
They've
they would
proven
get in.
that. They got a really good coaching staff.
I'd love to see them get a chance. They're not going to. They don't. I think the teams ahead of them are. Like, I know a lot of people were mad that Texas jumped them. I don't have a problem with that. You beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Head to head. It's pretty simple.
You got a dangerous tree that's leaning over your house or maybe branches blocking your view. Call Golston Tree Service today, 205-337-4443. Golston's licensed pros. They handle everything from trimming and pruning to full tree removals, fast, safe, and affordable. Call Golston Tree Service. They also offer that 24-hour emergency tree service, 205-337-4443. That's Golston Tree Service, 205-337-4443.
We got Mike Rodak, covers the Tide, coming up at 11. We'll talk about what he expects, his prediction for Alabama and Georgia in the SEC Championship. Your phone calls, your text, welcome as well. It's Football Friday on Jocks.
Coach Wimp Sanderson is going to join us around 11:15 here on the program, as we'll get his thoughts on the SEC championship game coming up. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450.
Yeah, plenty of texts that are rolling in. You are active here on this Football Friday, Championship Friday, as we roll into the weekend. Michael texts in, going back to the Penn State coaching search. Play the audio of the Penn State AD trashing other programs. Who would want that job? Thank you, Michael. No context. There was context at some point in the show, but Jeremy said, Pat, you're the one that said all coaches are liars.
That is correct. I did say that.
Drake says, good morning, guys. Love the show. Great offensive hire by my Gators. Buster Faulkner. Georgia Tech, OC.
He was rumored to be coming to Auburn.
Summerall. Yeah, so was John Summerall. Package deal. Conrad, just because he's the love of your life. We talking about Dayball here? I'm trying to make sense of that. Anybody who thinks Bama wins on field goals has not seen this Bama kicker in action.
Well, he did hit 2 at Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it was like very stressful, but first one was a long one.
45. Right through the uprights. Into that crisp air. This one reads, on the subject of conference championship games not hurting you. I agree if that loss is your second, but if you've already been beaten 3 times, that's not championship caliber.
Well, here's the difference with Alabama. Alabama's the number 1 seed. I mean, they won the SEC regular season. Like, if there was not a conference championship game, Alabama would get the conference bye. I mean, they would be in the college football playoff.
I just have no sympathy for Texas. Well, because it's Texas, but also they are in basically the exact same spot that Alabama was in last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it stinks, but the reality is, just like with Alabama last year, you could point to, well, we should have been in because of this. No, you shouldn't have been in because you got blown out by a bad Oklahoma team. Similarly, Texas lost convincingly to a bad Florida team. Don't lose that game and you're in.
Yeah, the only difference is that I think because the Oklahoma loss by Alabama happened so late in the season that it was so recent, whereas I think everyone has forgotten that they lost to Florida.
Well, they didn't have time to make up for it. Like, and I know that's why this year everyone's, well, why did you forget about the Florida State loss for Alabama? Well, you didn't. They dropped to number 21 in the rankings, and then they won 8 straight games. That's why they moved back to where they are now.
This one reads, I keep forgetting about Talty. Anguish emojis. Praying for him. That's nice. Going back to the conversation about the announcement when the reveal comes on Sunday, who's going to be in the college football playoff. I was going back to, I can't remember. It was a Sunday at church, and they were announcing it, and the pastor had to address it. Similar story from our listener listening on the app in Mississippi. That happened in my church, I think, in 2017. Pastor saw everybody checking their phones midway through the sermon and just asked, okay, well, did we get in? He got excited, fist pumped, and said, next week we'll start a series on idolatry. Everybody laughed. It was pretty funny also. Oh, thank you. Complimenting me on the broadcast last night. Appreciate it. Go ahead and buy into the rumors. Say Terry Smith gets the interim tag removed and is named the head coach for Penn State. Oof.
They seem to be trying to do everything but that. They are working really hard to not have to promote Terry Smith.
Don has chimed in. Great show as always. Looking forward to all the great games this weekend, including our high school games. Looking forward to watching AU commit Deshaun Spencer tonight for Saraland. Thank you for the compliments, Don. Georgia will beat Alabama and let the drama begin. y'all are taking this for good folks. Hey, Penn State, call Jumbo Shrimp Fisher. He'll take the job. Nobody in Pennsylvania could understand him, though.
Fast talker.
Todd says, thanks for letting us know about Wimp at 11:15. Love the show as always. Yeah, Coach had something going on with his phone this morning, but he will be on at 11:15. Appreciate the text. Keep them coming in, 205-834-9450. Quickly, before the top of the hour, let's go to Poe. Hey, Poe.
Man, hey, good morning, my peace. Hey, Landon Roberts.
Yes, sir.
Hey, look at here, man. Let me ask you this. Two things. Clay Chalkville played tonight. Y'all know I got to brag about my Clay Chalkville. My kids went there, so they played tonight at 7. But Landon, that game, man, when we was watching, I was at work. I was at the fire station. I was at the station yesterday. Why did they just do straight passes? Why did they switch it up, man, when they was trying to score? You know the game I'm talking about that you was on the call for?
Yeah, Moody and Viger.
Moody and Viger, yeah. Why was Viger going when it was 4th and 10, and they was 4th and 10 like at the 20 or the 15, and they went all gusto throws. They weren't trying to go for the 10 yards and chip away to get the touchdown.
I don't know. They dialed up those one-on-one shots. Renardo Jackson, their first-year head coach. But Moody, stout, win on the title. Mike Rodak talking Alabama and Georgia in the SEC championship game. Mike joins us next on this Football Friday, Championship Friday. Jocks.